Welcome once again to Syntax Error, your pretentious, philosophical, pedantic podcast ostensibly about video gaming and related topics therein. Warning, this podcast contains spoilers, mature content, and language. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, welcome back to Syntax Error. I, of course, remain Scott Thurlow, both in virtual reality and in this reality. I'm here tonight with J. Ian Manzer.
Where I'm only a J. Ian Manzer in virtual reality.
Of course, and Stephen Amosi.
And I'm just here for real.
Sometimes. Now, as you gathered, we're going to talk about VR again. So you may have caught last season we did 2 episodes, and we went to a arcade called Arcane Reality nearby us that specializes in VR games, sort of more professional setup. So the reason we're doing this episode is the new Galaxy whatever phone came out.
S8.
Sure. We're not affiliated with them in any way, but you guys did buy the phone with the VR package and gear.
They can feel free to send me money, though.
Sure. Send Stevo money.
Or send us games to review.
Samsung or whatever.
As well.
Yeah, so we're talking about what they have on offer right now via their packages and stuff, and we played a couple of games in the past couple of weeks, and what we thought of them, what we liked, what kind of worked, didn't work, and just the general package so far overall of the next step up in consumer VR, I guess I'll call it.
And I think the consumer VR aspect is incredibly important when judging these games.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, we went to Arcane Reality first, and I would say they're quite an arcade. They're developers.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
They have the top of the line equipment there, and we were kind of, it's not beta testing, but sort of like trying out
exactly.
things. And I would have been much more impressed with the consumer Oculus Rift Samsung S8
Had we not gone there
had we not experienced virtual reality as it's meant to be, with like the sensor rooms and actually be able to walk around, things like that.
Yeah, I mean that is the big difference at this point. The virtual reality for both of them is pretty immersive.
It's generally solid, yeah.
Except, with these you can't move around the room.
I mean, you can, but a lot of them don't even require you to, which I think will.
Well, I mean with these ones.
Yeah. You can move around the room, but it won't matter.
You can't actually move in real life. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And have it translate, which when you have the sensors in the corners of the room is actually a really cool experience getting to do that.
And we're playing, what's the zombie game?
Drop Dead is this one.
I'll start with that, because this is a complaint I have about, again, the limitation. It would have been awesome if I hadn't had the high-end experience of it, which there are projectiles coming out of me, which I'm now used to being able to dodge them by physically moving out of the way.
Yeah.
And it's almost, in a sense, like playing an upgraded version of one of those arcade shooters, where if something
feels very much like that,
shooting at your screen, it's going to hit you regardless of what you attempt to do. So, there are limitations to.
No, that's funny, and I want to comment on something because you're right. When we played some of the Arcane Reality games, indeed, some of the mechanics is you move your actual physical body around to avoid shots and stuff. So you were doing that while playing Drop Dead, and I was going to tell you, it's not going to matter. It was amusing to watch you try to dodge the zombie spit or whatever it was. But you're right. So I mean, this is for basically this isn't. Maybe 1.5 wave of VR that's freely available, more or less, to the general market. And of course, it's going to be not simplistic, I want to say, but it's not going to be all that complex because they have to make it, of course, mobile, really. Yeah. You're not going to, the difference is being in a room with, as you said, the sensors and the pack on you and all that.
Well, the big thing about running something with those sensors is it requires a hell of a lot more processing power than on a phone. So with these,
exactly.
You have you have the phone being your biggest limitation, right? I mean, they could certainly give us sensors with this, and you could put it up in the corners of your room, but your phone wouldn't run it at that point. You need a pretty high-end computer to run that type of VR.
The hardware aspect of it, and that's very valid, to be fair.
And, eventually those growing pains, they'll get over them. Either they'll figure out a way to do it with phones, or they'll bring the price of the technology to do it on a computer
down a little bit.
But don't get me wrong in any way with my criticism here. It's still very impressive.
It's very cool.
What they did. It just, again, I was spoiled with what I've experienced before.
What I'd be interested in with games like Drop Dead, with these first person shooter, zombie or wave game type of things, would be a like some kind of dodge mechanic that they could build into the controller. I think that'd be interesting. Even if it's just like a duck mechanic, like you had in like the old arcade games. When you said it seems like kind of like the old arcade games, that's the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh, you could have like a duck button or something, Which that would be interesting as a little additional mechanic.
Sure, no, I agree. And like I said, like I've been saying this generally, and I'll say it here on air, that I myself did not buy one because I'm sort of waiting for those kinks and, if not bugs, like those kind of aspects to be worked out more. So yeah, sure, the first wave of people who bought this stuff is probably having a pretty good time. They probably think it's pretty cool because they probably haven't been to an actual VR studio as we have. But sure, like it's gonna, like you said, Zivo, this technology is gonna go through some growing pains. But it's cool that they have it now pretty freely available and cheaply enough, I guess. I don't know what you guys exactly paid for it, a couple $100 because of this deal or whatever it was.
Well, actually, the VR came free because of the deal. And to be fair, we also are only judging games that came with the pre-order package, which was, I think we used the game package.
The game package, with it.
So there's a handful of them in there. We played a bunch, but so I, of course, gravitated towards the Drop Dead game because it's just basically FPS in VR. But there's another one. I'll introduce it and you guys talk a little bit about it. I liked it. It's called Land's End. It's basically a walking sim in VR, more or less, with some light puzzle elements. But I quite like that one. So what did you guys think of it?
Oh, actually, let me just jump in real quick because this game was done by the same studio that did another mobile game that's actually really similar. If any of you out there and wherever you are have played it, called Monument Valley.
I heard of it. Yeah, that's right.
And it's a really similar puzzle dynamic. You just kind of walk around a level and solve puzzles. Land's End actually has simpler puzzles than that one did, but what it does that one could never do, obviously, is give you this whole immersive landscape that you just get dropped into, which is really cool. You can kind of look out over cliffs and stuff. I think you're going to talk about that, Ian.
Land's End is a very good name for this because I could see people who have like problems with heights and got vertigo actually because there's one where your movement brings you right up to the edge of a cliff, and in reality that there's no cliff edge there, but your brain kind of gets tricked into the fact that it's there. And I think you brought up that people were feeling disoriented from.
That's a known thing in VR in general, and like you said, I could see that game specifically possibly triggering something that in people who are like susceptible to it or just have like that sort of will trigger them off. I thought it was actually quite soothing, quite cool, like the sensation of. So what happens is basically it's like a looking point game. You look like up here and around, and you focus on a certain point in the distance, and you'll like sort of fly or move towards it. And so it was one you're going basically over the mountains, and you dropped off like the edge of a cliff at the end. I thought that was pretty cool. It was a little, perhaps it could be unnerving, but to me, I thought it was an interesting little sensation. I thought it was enjoyable.
This is also going to go into Esper 2.
Esper 2, I believe.
Esper, yeah.
Whatever.
Dear Esper 2. Anyway.
Is that I feel that because I don't have freedom of movement like I had in the other VR games, both Land's End and Esper 2, which actually the second one intended to give you like telekinetic abilities, but I felt like I was Professor X in a way of sitting in one location and looking at something and having by just looking at it, having something move or actions happen. And I think that's actually a very good mechanic that is believable with the limitations of what the games could produce now.
Sure, I don't know if you guys looked down at your feet while you were playing that game.
There's a chair.
There's a chair.
I did. So
if you look down,
that's funny. It's a quick side thing. I did attempt to, first in Drop Dead and in Land's End, all the ones I played, I'd attempted to look around everywhere before I did anything to see if they rendered everything and what it looked like. And they did. In fact, they rendered, there wasn't like blank space or like walls or anything like that. It all was like, within the framework of the structure that the plot was telling you that you're supposed to be in. So I thought that was a pretty good job. Like I was trying to catch the developers off guard to see if they missed something. But it was fine. And you're right. I looked down and you're in a chair. That's a nice little touch. Good on them. But I agree with what you just said, E, that if you're going to do a game like that, like that's a good framework and a good mechanic to have because they tie together and it makes sense. It's sort of easy to do. I would say you could play almost any of these games maybe not Drop Dead or any shooter thing like that, sitting down. I have to stand up to play Drop Dead.
I think what you need is to play Drop Down, sitting down, you need a swivel chair without arms on it. Yeah. Because you need to like drop your arm a lot.
Just use your gamer chair. My arms are go up and down on my game chair. But anyway, I'm just saying, like, most of them, like, you can be in a pretty relaxed position and still be able to play them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty impressive how immersive this technology is.
Don't get me wrong.
You kind of lose track of where you're, like, what direction you're facing when you're playing, and
that's true. That's
where
a game,
you are in the room.
That's a game we played unto ourselves when we were taking turns. We started off, one of us start one place in the room, and then at the end, the other person, before he took off the goggles, they would say, "Where do you think you are in the room right now?" So yeah, it was amusing to try to do that. Well, but you're right.
To that point, though, I would not play this VR system around anyone who likes to pull pranks or amongst strangers, because you have the headphones on, you have the goggles on. Someone could come up. Actually, Steve, just to tell you something creepy, you were playing, and I just stood directly behind you, and I don't think that you noticed
I had no idea.
I was there.
Sure.
So
it's good for pranking people if you want.
Yeah, you know how usually you get the feeling that somebody's like right outside of your peripheral vision or something like that? You don't get that with this.
No. Sure.
It's almost like being asleep while you're awake in a situation. So don't play this anywhere where you wouldn't feel comfortable falling asleep.
Or be prepared for your friends to mess with you, as we sort of did to each other. Just slightly, just a little tap or whatever, like, hey, did you know I was there? But you're right, because of that, it actually is fairly immersive, given that basically it's just a phone and headphones and goggles that, that trigger render the VR graphics. But even so, it's pretty solid, I would say, overall. And was there another game that you played that we didn't see? Well, I think there was one that you checked out.
Well, I think Ian and I both played for a little bit Evil Robot Traffic Jam.
Right.
Which is a tower defense game.
It's an alright name.
Which was mildly enjoyable. I kind of enjoy tower defense games, but I will say that this game, there's something slightly off with the graphics, and it made me feel really cross-eyed while I was playing it.
Here's the thing is, it reminded me quite a bit of Plants vs. Zombies, because that's one of the more famous tower defense games out there. But tower defense games don't need to be in VR, because I'm just basically it feels like I'm on a tower overlooking a battlefield, and
it's not all that immersive compared to the normal.
There was this is not a necessary element to add to one of these games.
Right, I get you.
It's more of a, hey, you want to get a VR game that's a tower defense? Here you go.
It's more of a novelty kind of. Like I said, like they're trying things out. Like maybe that won't work. Like maybe tower defense will fall off from being in VR because of that very fact. It just doesn't seem to me that you're saying lend itself as much to a VR experience.
Yeah, or at least they'll have to figure out some new mechanic.
A different angle or whatever.
That'll play in VR. And then the other one that we tried to play, I've actually just played the opening section of this, which I think you played a little bit of, Ian, the Dragonfront, which is basically a card game.
It's a CCG in VR.
Yeah, basically a CCG, which same deal.
There's no need for VR.
There's no point in doing that in VR. You can do a couple interesting, fun little graphics here and there or whatever, but
see, that's what I'm trying to say. Go on.
But yeah, I mean, that's all the games that I've played so far. There are a couple others that I want to get, but I want to make sure that they're worth spending money on before I do that.
Exactly. Well, I was going to bring that up, but also there's sort of a general, you guys tried to, or did, there's like a general sort of VR hangout room.
Yeah, I was going to
watch videos and stuff, so I want you to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that next, actually. It's called Oculus Home. And it's just a room. There's 4 stations. You have like a little area with like little tree stumps that you can stand around, and that's just like a little chat area, I guess. There's a TV that you can play videos on. There's a game table that has 3 games on it, which are all really simplistic. I think one of them's like Simon, one of them is one of them's like memory game, and one of them is whatever that card game you write a name on on a card, you put it on your forehead, and the other person guesses what it is.
The thing from Inglourious Bastards, whatever it's called.
That might be mildly amusing if you have more than 2 people like we had. And then there is an app station, which is kind of a jumping off point to get into multiplayer games, which is kind of interesting. So that's where Ian and I try to play Drop Dead multiplayer. But as it turns out, it's just a race to get the highest score, basically. So we weren't actually playing.
It's not actually co-op, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we weren't actually playing at the same time.
And to be fair, the game said I rage quit.
Which is hilarious that it even had that.
It's not the truth, because I was going in expecting multiplayer to be us killing zombies.
He more disappointed quit, if you will.
There's no anger involved. It was, but whereas that is something that I'm not a huge multiplayer fan of on consoles, but I could actually see the worth in multiplayer games through VR. So especially if I'm at my house, Steve-O's at his house, Scott's at his house, and we can all kill zombies in a virtual environment.
Yeah, so, I agree. I think that's the aspect I'm sort of looking forward to when they sort of smooth that out and refine it as well. But you're right, like, it's cool. I guess, and to be fair, I think they said that, or the menu indicated that it was in beta.
It is beta. I'm assuming they're going to have something like that eventually.
So that'd be cool when they do that we can try it again and actually maybe play together. But yeah, it's basically just a heads up versus, and you're not even like, you don't even see the, like, you're not helping each other kill the zombies. You're just doing it for points again.
And in fact, it's worse. I can see, Steve and I are playing it. I can see Steve-O sitting there, or standing there,
but
he's not helping me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, you're just watching me die by zombies.
Yeah.
What a jerk.
So sure, but I think that's the one. That's the one we played the most of, or at least I did, because again, it seems to me that's the framework to lend itself to a consumer VR experience, as I said. But certainly, like, I'm sure more games are being worked out. You're going to roll out a couple more in the coming months, probably in the summer and so forth.
One of the games that I had the most fun with when we went to Arcane Reality was that bow and arrow game.
Yeah.
And I wish there was something like that, but you can't do it with this because there's only one controller.
Exactly.
You need another controller to actually like pull
It's not tracking your motions either, right?
That was, well, exactly. I mean, you could do probably, if you had two controllers, you could just do that.
Sure,
but yeah, that was a lot of fun. I wish there was a similar experience with this one,
and quite a workout as well.
Yeah,
yeah, man.
Yeah, you do that for a while every day, and you're gonna have pretty strong arms.
It's better than going to the gym. But no, see, like, so I know you like Job Simulator. Speaking of other things from Arcane and just other generally available. So do you think if they made a Job Simulator, either ported it or something like it in this one, would it work?
Yeah, I think Esper is somewhat similar to it.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, they certainly can do that. The thing with Job Simulator is that made it great was that it was in that, you know, you were in a room, you can move around, you could grab different things, you can walk over to a different section of the room. So that's going to be tough to emulate with this
as
technology.
Of now. Sure.
Yeah.
Not true. I guess you're right about that.
But I guess the one other thing I wanted to mention kind of jokingly is I actually got a Netflix app for this, which is basically a virtual couch that you sit on and watch a regular 2D screen. Like, it's I don't know why you would do this. And like,
again, novelty.
Sure, but to me, and I don't know if everybody else feels the same way, but like, to me, being in the 3D environment, being in that virtual reality is draining after a while. Like, if I'm just going to watch a movie,
I don't
want to do it in goggles where like my eyes are kind of strained with the, you know, because you're completely changing what your eyes normally look at. You know, you're putting the focus point way closer to your eyes with this. And I don't know, it just, watching a 2-hour movie in this would be not an enjoyable experience for me.
Also, I'd like to say that it is absolutely draining. And I think one of the reasons is that your senses are pulling double duty here. So your audio and visual senses are being taken over this virtual world, but I'm standing up and I'm still aware that I'm not I didn't lose immersion completely like I did when I was in Arcane Reality. Here it was like I'm kind of trying to feel my way so I don't trip over anything when I'm turning around, while also paying attention. It's mentally tasking to actually go through this.
Sure. And like, maybe that's a double-edged sword as well. Like, maybe you can like exercise yourself that way, but also then, you know, it's kind of a strain. I agree, and I was a bit bleary-eyed as well after coming out of it. And you're also wearing the goggles, so that's weight on you as well, which feels like you don't normally do that. So
just a suggestion for anybody who's going to get this: don't do it in a hot room because you start sweating like crazy, and the fabric that's on your face gets soaking wet, and it's disgusting.
That's true. That happened the other week, and I was like, my turn. I'm like, nah, I think I'll wait.
I'll leave this out overnight, let it dry.
Sure. So just be aware of that
somebody
as well.
else's sweat on my face next time.
That's another component of this that you may not like realize, but it indeed happens. So
yeah.
I don't know. Anything else that we missed? Like certainly, there's like I said, there's a couple of games that we haven't gotten to yet. But
there is one thing I want to try that I wanted to mention real quick. Something called Oculus Arcade, which looks like it just has a bunch of old arcade games, which are also going to be on a 2D screen, and you could probably go find them online. But that seems like kind of a cool experience. You go up to like, I would assume you go up to like a virtual arcade box and go play, which seems kind of cool.
If they're going to go, because right now the home aspect reminds me of PlayStation Home.
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah,
or I haven't been on that in years, but when I originally went on, it was like you can go to a movie theater and do exactly what you did with the Netflix thing. Yeah. Watch a movie inside a virtual movie theater. But like, I think that in a sense, if they have more interactions amongst people using it over space, like actually. There is a thing of like developing avatars in there and coming up with kind of being able to craft yourself in a way. It doesn't exist right now. But I think aside from the medallion of your face that you wear.
Which I thought was kind of it was like the Vegas thing, like the fucking Securitrons have. Like
well, there is another app, I forget what it's like, Alternative Home or something like that, or Alternative something, that allows you to interact with a lot of strangers. You basically go into it. It's pretty much a virtual chat room, right? You like.
I'm sure that won't go horribly wrong.
No, I jumped in there for about 5 minutes, and I wanted to strangle everybody in that room. And I was like, I'm done with this. Like, maybe this is cool if you're a teenager or something and trying to meet other weirdo teenagers like I did.
Or other weirdos who aren't teenagers is what I'm getting at.
Right now, I was just hearing people like shouting and yelling curse words, like children yelling curse words into my ears.
And I could do that on any random console if I wanted to.
Exactly. Sure. I was like, I'm done with this.
So you're saying humanity sucks even in VR? Probably worse because, of course, there's no consequences as we discussed elsewhere.
But there's really infinite potential to this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just want to make one quick side comment before we finish up. That I'm actually impressed that VR is outpacing AR.
Yeah.
Because it's taking much greater strides than I thought it would. And this is a fair. It's not a first attempt. They've done some of these.
Sure.
But this is a
more widespread,
polished attempt for a consumer product.
Yeah.
And I think that this will pick up because I'm interested in exploring what else they come up with. I'm going to be looking out for new games that are developed there. And I might even purchase some if I see good reviews on them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree. I certainly, of course, am interested in it as well. It's just that I'm going to wait till the best console version, if you will, comes out. The best VR setup. With all the kinks worked out and with a decent library of games, as we said, that are more in line with what I want to play.
And rather, I was going to say, if anybody has any suggestions for games that we should play, because I'm on the lookout for good games as well. Yeah,
if you're out there and you have something that we haven't played or have this set up yourself and you found a good one, let us know.
Bear Island.
Sure.
Check out Bear Island. I assume it'll be one bear that you can that'll just walk around. You're like, ooh, look at how real that bear looks.
Maybe.
Like the Jurassic Park game, which is one dinosaur.
I guess because you won't know until you play it or when it comes out. But no, overall, it's a pretty good experience. And like I said, like you said, it's going forward, it's moving forward. And I'm interested to see what they come out with, the next iteration. Again, the next, slew of games that maybe refine it a bit, maybe tweak some of the mechanics and the processes.
But I think Oculus Rift and Samsung did a brilliant thing with partnering on this.
Yeah.
And really... I think this is the main selling point. I think for or one of the main selling points of the S8, and it's been widely successful. So I hear, and
as far as we can tell,
and I have faith in Oculus and Samsung developing some quality games in the near future.
Yeah, so hopefully they will. They'll put out some, a couple more, and like we said, build up the library, and maybe if they do a really good collection, we'll do another quick impression review episode about it. But so far, as of now, as it stands, it's pretty goddamn solid, I would say. And, I think it's a decent investment if anyone who has it like you guys and who anyone's thinking about it, it's probably more worth it than not to check it out if you're interested in VR and games and so forth.
Yeah. It's no Nintendo with Virtual Boy.
Not yet. Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing will ever be Virtual
Christ.
Boy. Thank God.
Thank the video game gods that it won't be. But that's pretty much it. Anybody? You guys got any final thoughts or anything?
I think that's about it.
Like I said, we might cover this later on, but for now, that's what we thought.
Definitely going to keep our eye on it. You know?
Those are games we played. That's what we thought. And, if you got the means, check it out. I don't highly recommend it, but I do recommend it.
It's better than your reality.
So. Almost anything will be. So I think that'll do it. I've been Scott Thurlow, again, here in both realities. Jamie Manzer.
Good night.
And Stephen Amosi.
Goodbye.
And we'll see you next time.
Editing and engineering by Scott Thurlow. Music by Stephen Amosi. Check us out on YouTube and iTunes for the shows, and on Facebook and Twitter for updates.